because they my migraines, and I'm getting something because I had a beer, and I don't normally do that.
I need a beer.
Yeah, so it's
actually this beer is freaking delicious because I wound up. I had 3 guys on about $2,500 worth of houses today, and then we were I had a graffiti removal and then a F-flow removal. So guess who got to do that this afternoon?
Oh yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah, and I really don't like my guys doing that. I'm weird like that with the strange chemicals. And they're not
kind of the same way.
Huh?
On most of the whether it was a graffiti removal, F-flow removal, rust depends on the rust. I mean, if it's a big rust job, I wanted to be there.
Tommy.
Yeah. If it's
Wild West,
some wet blasting, that kind of thing, I always like to be there. So I like to do it. I feel better about knowing what's going to happen. Good evening, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about estimates because, funny enough, Ray and I have both had kind of the same thing happening. Of course, now I don't do anything anymore, as everybody points out to me on a regular basis, it seems like. But I had some Cajun Soft Wash had some estimates come back that were, I think, 2 to 3 years old on those estimates. And then the same thing with Ray just had some estimates come back. And so, yeah, it's kind of it's always opposite of what you think it's going to be. So you got to go opposite of what you think it's going to be. Anyhow, that's like my microphone is sitting here, but it looks like it's for me. Never mind. Anyhow. So we thought it would be a good thing to talk about just how long is an estimate good for? Is it something that, after 6 months, a year, do you raise your prices? Do you not raise your prices? And I think it all really does depend on what it is that you're doing. But, Ray and I were talking right before we went live, and Ray, you said that you popped 10% on it. And it was what you said, almost a year, January.
A year and a half. It was January of 2020. So year and a half. And it was for for Florida State University. I don't mind saying it. It's I do run that legality because me being employee number 7, I am under contract that I can't give away any trade secrets of our business dealings of this. But yeah, we so whenever we were spray washed, it was Florida State Parking Services, which I have a contract with all of Florida State University, except for housing, sports, and parking services, which kind of do their own thing. And this is where Parking Services had reached out, to me. And, but yeah, I felt they wanted to know our estimate. And I felt, well, gosh, it's, everything costs more at this point. I have new employees and I have, gas costs more than the Trump era, from January of last year. My bleach costs have remained stable. God knows my shipping costs have gone up.
Your bleach has stayed stable?
My bleach has stayed stable, believe it or not.
Cajun Soft Wash has had an increase of 55% increase on bleach here in Louisiana. So
I'm still $1.25 a gallon on there.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what the cost is there now. I want to say it's probably I'm gonna butcher it. I don't want to get it wrong. But anyhow, yeah, and it's the same thing. So my oldest estimate, I think, was probably about 4 years old that came back. And so you'd be surprised. And to me, that's part of when you're giving out your estimates and you're doing things. And so when we talk about, I kind of feel like a broken record sometimes. And what I mean by that is that one of the things that we always say, well, let's go this way. ATDP. What is ATDP?
Answer the damn phone.
Answer the damn phone. So that's first and foremost, I think. And this is why I feel like a broken record, because we always say answer the damn phone. And we always say that, building relationships is important. And for me, it's not even just about, even if you don't keep up with each individual person, you can build a relationship in a 5 to 10 minute phone call, at least to where they like you. Okay.
Right.
And even that, and these 2 estimates that came back for Cajun Soft Wash, both of them were, one of them was 2 large buildings. And my interactions with that company they lasted for maybe about a month, but I got to talk, and I don't just talk business, I bring up other things. And then the other one was a little bit longer. Now I dropped off after that, and I shouldn't have. They probably would have got the job sooner, but nonetheless, keeping up or building that relationship with them in just that short period of time, and then answering the damn phone when they call.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened. Land. I don't know if they landed the second one, which I think is, if I remember right, it's 4 buildings. But I think they will, and I think they'll also get maintenance contracts on them from there out. You know,
if you think if you even go to the Spray Wash Pro document library, that initial the estimate form. Whenever I used to do the handwritten estimate form that I did with the check boxes on there, that hundreds of members have either copied, but they're welcome to copy because it's in the document library. But even on the bottom, it was, we used to get them out in triplex. We'd get the whites, the yellows, the pinks. Mm-hmm. The white went to the customer. The yellow and the pink went back to the office. Whenever, the yellow got sent to the technicians when they booked, so it would stay together as yellow and pink. And then whenever it turned into a job, it got done, the pink never left the office. That was the generation of the billing. And this was way before we ever had House Call Pro, anything like this. And there were millions of dollars done on this simple, triplex carbon copy document. And those are ridiculously cheap. If you don't want to go the expense of having a CRM, I strongly recommend that. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. But it said on the bottom of that, this estimate is good for blank days. And you can fill in the blank. And there's, sometimes we're putting in, now we got away from putting an expiration date once we started using House Call Pro. But if you put an expiration date on there, it actually causes a little bit of urgency for your customer.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. And you can use that to your advantage to be able to make the phone calls. As an example, if you have 30 days on your paperwork, you make that follow-up phone call, say 2 weeks later, and then you make another phone call at that 3-week point, right? Depends on how your follow-up calls are. If you're making follow-up calls, which you should be.
You should be.
If you're, it gives you that thing, well, our estimate's going to be expiring here in another 3 days. Just wanted to, see if you wanted to go ahead and get that taken care of. Even though you're going to be beyond the 30 days at the time we do the job, I just want to see if we want to go ahead and lock you in at that price point. We've had some increases and that kind of thing, and I just want to make sure we get you taken care of. So you can put that in there, and definitely helps close sales that way.
And for new guys that are watching, I mean, you're being kind of a Jedi mind trick at that point. And understand, I said something that we rarely ever followed up on for the last 2 years. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say this, but Tanya and I hardly ever followed up on a quote, because I mean, we're a 4-technician office with 2 people in the front and then me bouncing around fixing equipment, doing $1 million a year. We were booked. We stayed consistently booked, 6 weeks ahead. We could have put another truck on easily. I did not want to put another truck on out there. But for you guys that are building your business, that are trying to reach that next level, understand so much of this is salesmanship. So much of this is running a business just like any other business. Hey, what's up, Brian? It's running a business. It's salesmanship. It's entrepreneurship. I know Kevin Costner, in the movie they said, build it and they will come. Not necessarily, sell your ass off and they will come.
Build relationships
your service and let people know that you're the best, and get out there and have a reason to touch your customers. Have a reason to sit there and say, hey guys, just following up with you, because guess what? Most of your competitors are not doing that.
I would venture to say most people are not doing the follow-up.
When they don't get the job, you know as well as I do, when they don't get the job, most guys sit there and they get their ass up on their shoulders and they go, "Oh, somebody lowballed me. Somebody lowballed lowballer. They didn't go with me because it was a lowballer." And quite frankly, as you and I have said over and over and over again,
we said it, I think, about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a lot of times the people haven't actually gotten the job done yet. You know, we assume
you drive by and it's the exact same condition that it was when you gave the estimate a year prior or 2 years prior, right? Yeah. Because they don't do it. And sometimes it's life just got in their way. Sometimes it is a budget thing. Sometimes it's, I think especially on the commercial side, it's more of probably a budgetary thing. Somebody just doesn't want to spend the money, and they let it sit and they let it sit. And then one day it's like, man, finally they just
wait for the next budget cycle. They wait for, the fiscal year or the calendar year to come about, and customers, I'd say a lot of times it's not budget. It's just that something else happened.
Yeah. So Mark, to answer your question, Mark says, what about 6 months ago, the lift rental prices have gone up? Absolutely. You've got the right to go up in your price. I mean, if you've got on your estimates, you've got 30 days, then I think you got 30 days where you really can't adjust that price. If you don't have anything written on there, I mean, you could say the next day, you could say the price went up if you got a massive increase in something. These things happen. I wouldn't do that. But certainly after 6 months, lift costs have gone up, and you can explain that. That's an understandable thing. That's not even your increase. That's simply an increase that you're having to deal with and passing along to them.
Doug, I'm going to keep talking. I'm going to turn some lights on. I'm starting to get the setting sun over here.
Gotcha. So MTH says, I'm guilty of this. I have a huge influx of data and information, and I'm not utilizing all of it. And then I complain to myself when I'm he pops in like that. When I already know the answer. Look, I think this is probably something that happens to all of us as you get to a certain point where you're so busy. And I'm going to admit that I'm guilty as well. I didn't do anywhere near the follow-ups that I should have done after we hit probably. We were so busy and staying booked, 6 weeks out to even at one point I had been booked 4 months. I think that was 3 years ago or so. But nonetheless, I got booked so far out, I just didn't do the follow-ups that I should have been doing. And I was kind of in the same boat with Ray, where I didn't want to push up and have even more trucks and more trucks. Should I have done that? Yeah, maybe I should have, but I didn't. I'm not at that place anymore. It's one of the reasons, again, that I sold my company. Now, if you are going to be, if you want to grow your company, I guarantee you, without knowing all of Ray's numbers, I guarantee you he could have probably put 6 more trucks on the road. And I guarantee I could have put 6 more trucks on the road easily. If you make those follow-up phone calls, even these people, they may not have bit at that point in time, but just by following up, I'm going to build that pipeline back up, because a lot of them that aren't going with you, it's not because of the lower guy. We've said that dozens and dozens of times.
Absolutely. We don't eat the inflation, the customers do.
Exactly.
100% Wild West. 100%. That's not your job to eat it, And and you were going, I think it's rolling off my screen, but Brian was saying influx data information, not using all of it, and then complain to myself when I know the answer.
Yeah.
But, we all get busy at this, and we all get, well, especially us that get up there to that certain level of production. And you say, well, do I want to grow bigger? Do I not want to grow bigger? Headaches. Yeah. Honestly, if I was probably sitting there still at 500,000, I probably would have never sold my company. Mm-hmm. If I was just plugging along at that $500,000 a year, me, 2 trucks, probably wouldn't have. But, whenever I wanted to get up and I hit over that $1 million number on there and was consistently doing that, to me, it became very soul sucking. And we could have gotten bigger. And, I also know that at that point you get into what I always say is one of the death zones where you're starving for oxygen is whenever you have those non-income producing employees. And you need more, the more you do, the more non-income producing employees You know,
for me, it's also, I've got some physical limitations, and for me, I really enjoyed being on the truck. So one of the main factors that got me to sell really boiled down to, I had to find a way to keep myself off the truck. And the only way to keep myself off the truck was not to be in the company anymore, because I want to go out and do it. I want to go out, and so, lots of different jobs. I mean, my guy's perfectly capable. I could leave the company for 2 weeks and it would operate, not a problem. But the only thing that maybe would have an issue with
it was a gigantic shit show when you came home from those 2 weeks.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, Tanya and I traveled all the time. Golly, we've gone to conventions. I mean, we did a week in St. Thomas last year with TJ and Grace. I mean, Tanya loves to travel and stuff, so we could always get out of town for 4 to 7 days. I mean, that wasn't a big deal there. I want to go back up here before it rolls up. What's that Tommy saying? Let the follow up. So I want to say something like this. That's where, a good CRM.
Yeah, absolutely.
Setting up a CRM or something like Responsibid can take a lot of that off your plate. Or like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about setting up the mailing program and we're talking about the right constant contact and doing a mailing, a newsletter to the people and keeping on doing it. But I want to go to somebody right here. Manuel said, and nice to see you, Manuel. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. The best place to find commercial jobs like HOA division or big pharmacy, the best place to find it is with you. Because you're going to go out and develop those relationships. I mean, there's not a central bidding spot. It was funny.
There are some, like the government bid jobs.
They are, and they suck. Right. There's Kelly's Blue Book of Bids. It sucks. I mean, there's things like that out there. They suck. Don't go to that. Yeah. But so much of this is, to go out and find HOAs, you need to go out and develop relationships with HOAs. You need to go out and find a property manager that specializes in managing HOAs. Most HOAs, and those of you who are really not familiar, Homeowners Association or COA, Condo Owners Association, a lot of times,
property.
Yeah. A lot of times, the HOAs become so dysfunctional and so screwed up that they wind up hiring, and what is it? COI, I think, is the designation behind the manager's name, but there's actually real estate firms that do nothing but manage HOAs. I mean, an absolutely massive, source of revenue for us at Spray Wash, because there's about 4 of them that we deal with in Tallahassee that are top notch. I would bet you right now at this station of the year. So I just booked $30,000 in August with a HOA manager. That was from a private HOA. But then the realtor, or not real estate, but HOA managers, we've done about $50,000 to $60,000 already this year. And heck, 30,000 of that was from one neighborhood back in March. So an emergency blood cleanup where somebody got stabbed at one of their units for $1,000 that took me 2 hours. So that's where you're going to go out and find these guys. You've got to go and develop your markets. You've got to go out and create these relationships.
A lot of good places to do that too. You can get into different trade groups, and then there's also, man, it's escaping my mind right now, but it's the BNI. So like a BNI group, which a BNI group is like a group where you go and you meet with other business owners and you trade information, if you would, and you help give them jobs and they help get you jobs. And that's more of a bit. So BNI, Business Networking International, Also, just going and talking to the commercial realtors, set up a time for them. Go teach classes at some of the real estate offices, right? Especially a lot of these people live in an HOA as well. So even though you may not be directly going to that HOA and focusing on that HOA, you're focusing on all the people that are in that room, and several of them live in an HOA. And I'm going to tell you what, most of the people that run the HOAs are who? Business owners and people of influence and people that like to get involved. And that's why they're in these groups. And that's why going around and you're looking at it and you're not even thinking about the HOA side of it. It is a way to, in a way, backdoor and get inside of an HOA just because they live in an HOA.
I mean, we actually have something in Tallahassee called CONA, Council of Neighborhood Associations. It's an association for neighborhood associations. You know, some of the things you could always do is if you have a neighborhood you want to get into, find out who the head of that neighborhood association is. Find out who the president is. Here's a little news flash. I mean, you want some solid information. If you're in Florida, and I think this is true in a lot of states, but HOAs have to be registered with the Secretary of State, along with the president, or at least the contact person for that HOA. So you can go to sunbiz.org. That's the Secretary of State's in Florida, their website, where you find out, where you go to make your LLC, do a DBA, but also you can search for HOAs specifically there and find out who's, at least the head of it.
There's another way to do that too. That is, if you don't know, like, let's say, for example, that, there's an HOA you really want to get into, but you don't know who to contact there or where it is, or you can also go to your county assessor's website. And they have most assessors nowadays, or a lot of assessors. I'm not going to say most, I shouldn't say that. A lot of assessors nowadays, especially in the larger communities, they have a GIS system. A GIS system is a mapping system, right? So it maps it out and you can pick out individual houses. Well, guess what else you can do? You can look and see who owns the clubhouse. Who owns that parcel of land that the guardhouse is on, or that those different areas that are owned by the association, right? Now you can take that information, and that would be a way to find out who it is that you can contact.
Well, that was one of the secrets, and it's an old enough secret we can share it here. But we shared in Pro a couple of years ago. You go into an office building, you're not having any luck. Go into the elevator. See whose name is on the elevator certificate. Boom.
That tells you who manages that building.
Yep, exactly.
It's there. It's free information. Same thing with on the outside of a restaurant. Sometimes it's right there. The information is there. Sometimes it'll say emergency contact, contact so-and-so or whatever, or this property is managed by.
Look at the little signs out in front of businesses, in case of emergency, contact so-and-so. I guarantee you that's a person of authority. They're not letting the dishwasher field the emergency calls in the middle of the night,
Yet they let employee number 7.
They let my dumbass do that. So
I just did a huge job for an HOA that I bid in January. I increased the price 20% after they accepted it, and it was understood on the COGS, which is the
cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. There you go. Building trust for 9 years goes a long way. Sometimes I get tied up on that, like the FOMO, which I know what FOMO is, and I get caught up on some of those in my head. But so FOMO is fear of missing out, and cost of goods. Yes, I just every now and then you get draw that blank. But anyhow, you were saying something, and I'm off now. See how I am?
But I just saying building trust goes so much of a long. And if they tell you, hey guys, we can't do it for this. We've had some things, we've had some problems, we've had this and that. Gas is more, blah 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 blah. They will believe you, and so much of this business is about trust. So much. Again, I cannot. I get it. you give a bid and you see some jackass out there at $99, but trust me, most of us guys out here that are successful, and I'd say most of the veterans on here, sure, we lose one every now and then and it chaps our ass, but in all honesty, not my customer. No, not my customer.
And you'd be surprised how many times those things roll back at you. I mean, one of my famous ones, if you would, was I think it was a 9 or 12 unit apartment complex. And, I didn't know at the time that there were 7 bidders on board. I didn't know that. Didn't matter. I wouldn't have changed my pricing anyhow. But we go out, we do the presentation, the bid, all that, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't hear anything and I did some follow-up phone calls and they said that they, chose somebody else. Great. Okay. Then I get a phone call from them. I think it was probably like 3 months later. And they called me and they're like, hey, we need you to go ahead and put us on the schedule to do it. I'm like, I thought you had it done. Well, yeah, we did. We hired somebody, but it didn't work out and, so on and so forth. So great. Anyhow, come to find out, when I got out there, I knew right away. They took the lowest bid. Okay. There were 7 bidders and they took the lowest bid and I was the highest bid. Okay. And the guy with the lowest bid came out there with a 0 red tip, seriously. And he literally cut the siding, right? So they canned him like right now. You obviously don't know what you're doing. They jumped over every bid to get to my bid, which was the highest. They didn't stop anywhere in the middle. They're like, nope, screw that. We can't afford to have jokers out here that don't know what they're doing. So they tried the cheap route, then they went the expensive route.
Yep, absolutely. I had a recently, I think we may have talked about this, we may not. A couple of good comments. Sorry, I was over there on the banners. But I went to did a bid on Doak Campbell Stadium earlier this year. So now last year was there, documented it very, very well last year in pro. It's one of the reasons, we talk about, you go to pre-bid meetings, you go to things. There were, I believe, 15 people submitted bids on this project last year. It was a 3-year contract with Doak Campbell. Didn't get it. The winning bid was half of what I bid. I mean, Doak Campbell Stadium, $30,000. And also an out-of-town company from South Carolina wound up getting it. Well, guess what? It comes back up for bid this year, which means only one thing, and we verified it. Doak Campbell was unhappy with their business, with their production, with their results, and they fired them. They did not renew their contract. 4 people showed up this year. 4, not 15, 4. So any one of us 4 had a 25% chance of getting that. And any one of us 4, we looked back on there, we were all sitting there laughing, and all of us were in the 50s to 60s last year whenever we bid it. So we're all saying, okay, you know what? Hey, this is at least we've got the real guys here who actually have a clue of what they're doing on there. But go to these bids whenever you get the chance.
Yeah, and not only that, but if they have if you go out and it is a structured bid or it is a settled bid, and they say that bidding is at 9 a.m. on Wednesday the 3rd, okay? Do not show up at 9 a.m. Show up at 8:55. If you want, I would show up much earlier than that, because let me tell you, at 9 a.m., if you walk in the door, you're late. And they have the right. And in a lot of cases, they will not allow you to even participate now, because the bidding, the pre-bid meeting starts exactly at 9 a.m. And if you walk in the door at 9 and 1 second, you're already out of the bidding.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, same with the way the bids have to be submitted, the way that the bids have to be opened. I mean, there's a lot of these things that, especially whenever you get into governmental things, they're like, hey, this is how it's going to be. And this is it's written down and it's going to be in this. And, you don't screw around with those times.
Yeah, not at all.
You should go to bids like that for no other reason than just to meet other contractors, to just meet other people that could help you out, that you could refer business to, that could refer business to you. If I was just starting out and didn't know what, so Manuel, I hope you're still out there. If I was relatively, and I assume you're just starting out because you're asking about HOAs.
Right.
If I was out there and trying to get business, I would be searching through any of the state bids or large bids or anything out there that are on some of the larger bid sites or the private, government sites or the public government sites. And I would find out who all is there, and I would show up at those, and I would hand my business cards out, and I would shake hands with the successful looking people. And I'd say, hey, my name is Ray. I am just getting started out. If you get this bid, I would love to sub for you. There's no way I could do this stadium, but I can dang sure make, section J rows 50 through 120 look amazing.
Yep. In fact, we went to a bid downtown Baton Rouge on 6 of their downtown buildings. And one of the things that they needed was to have all of the windows done. And I'm not a window guy. I'm just not. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Before the bid started, a guy walks in the door and he had a brochure made up for us, for the contractors that were bidding on the jobs. And he had his card with it, and he handed one out to everybody. Said, I'm not bidding on this project. I want you to know that. I'm just handing you my stuff so that when you do bid on it, if you need somebody to get the windows done on these buildings, I'm your guy. And he handed them out. And on his little flyer that he made out, he had jobs that he had previously done, his insurance stuff, everything I needed to be able to bid. So I used him to give me numbers on the windows so that I could just give him the jobs on the window side of it. So absolutely, it's a great place to get your foot in the door. Go to different, realtor meetings or HOA meetings if you can't. Whatever you can go to, go. Even if you have no intention of bidding, it's a good learning process. It's a good
absolutely. I mean, you meet people in the industry. Can we block this guy because he's kind of a
yeah, he's just look at his picture. I mean,
Teresa, you're talking about gotta love the stalkers. My favorite one are the ones that actually pull up the chairs and watch you work. God, I love those people.
Yeah. I like the ones that they come out with their morning coffee and their morning cigarette, and they got to be 2 feet away, or not 2 feet, 2 inches away from you, asking you the same questions that you've already been. And I've had my guys call me and say, dude, you've got to do something. This homeowner's driving us nuts. Yeah. So,
I had one employee, he was great, but he would sit there and talk a blue mile to the people. I mean, whenever you have one of those, it was like he would go and divert the person's attention and could sit there and talk to them for 2 hours, never missing a beat, while the other guys were able to get the job done,
Which is good to have there sometimes. And when you're giving estimates, and I think over time you learn about people, okay? And if you don't, you need to reevaluate a little bit, I think, because for me, if I go out to give an estimate, I can pretty much tell if they're going to be like a nitpicking ninny, or if they're going to be, which they have the right to do it. I'm not dissing that, but we had one guy in particular that I knew he was going to be a super pain. I doubled my rates on him. Okay. I doubled my rates.
PETA tax.
Yeah, it's a PETA tax. and he hired us. And, he knew for a fact that he was paying more because of him.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think we worked for him for like 4 years. Every year he would call up and the guys would go crazy, and he would nitpick, which he's allowed to do, but he would nitpick, what's that? And I'd go, it's a bug.
I mean, if you're paying the PETA tax, nitpick all you want, because if I'm charging you the tax, I mean, I'm the guy that took that job, and I'm probably making enough on it for a callback or to take the extra time. So
absolutely.
Yeah. That is, yeah. The first True Secret said you missed a spot, and then also I love when they come around the corner and go, "Oh, yeah, damn."
I love it when that happens.
You must be a magician.
That is the best to me. When they come around the corner and they're blinded, man, it looks like you just painted. You know, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, I did use the word ninny in ninny.
We actually used to. We have. I live in a very, very liberal area, and we found that. Yeah, not even going to go there. Never mind. Yeah. PETA tax. Haha.
Let's not go to the same place we were last time. Yeah. Look, a PETA tax is something that is real. Okay, it should be, because they are going to take up more of your time. That guy in particular, just to bring it back up, I mean, it was a roof and a house. It was something that one crew could easily do in one day every single time. But I sent 2 crews out there, and one crew was there, or actually, I think we did do it. We did it all in one day, but we did it with 2 crews when I only needed 1, because I knew that we would be there all day with 2 crews. Okay. I even remember him in the garage. He had this little, so he had a garage, and then beside his garage, he has a workshop, and it's got a garage door on it and all that. And he wanted us to physically pull everything off the shelves and wipe the shelves down. It's not what we do, right? But I'm like, okay. And I told him, well, you know, you could probably get somebody to do that. Yeah, but I want you guys to do it. Okay. I said, well, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go hire some guys from the local manpower place, and I'll bring them out here for the day, and I'll stick them in there. And I'm going to charge you, it's probably going to cost me $150, $200. So how about $450? And he's like, okay. I was like, really? I told you how to go do it yourself, but he didn't want it. Great.
You know, so Truth Seeker saying, disappointed to find it, you know, erased. And yeah, I wrestled with that, you know. I really, really, really wrestled with that, you know, about putting that on there, because we did get kind of serious, and, you know, we were talking, and nothing obviously bad, but I felt that was something that I didn't want coming back and haunting us. You know, you never know in this wacky world that if I've said something that was going to offend they, them, he, she, it, whatever. I mean, you know, it's
and sad. I know there's lots of people that don't care, and they say, hey, this is my way, and that's it. And that's great. But I mean, I think if you're in business to grow a business, then you have to understand the feelings of Democrats, Republicans, and people in the middle, and respect their feelings, whether you like them, agree with them, disagree with them, or whatever. And I get it, because there are things where, as an example, I had, you know, I hire white people, I hire black people, I hire Asian, I don't care, right? And we were out getting ready to start a job, and, you know, the lady came out, and she's like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you know, she looked around, and it just so happened that she saw the driver of the vehicle was white. She saw that I was white, and she saw the other guy walking up was white. And she said something like, I'm glad you didn't have any of them ends here, right? Well, just so happened, sitting right beside the white guy inside the truck was a black guy. And so it's like, okay, so I had to fire that client, right? And that's what you have to do sometimes.
Absolutely. You know what? Who just said it right there? I love this. Politics is one thing we have in common. Both sides have money. Get that money right here. What Brian's, don't alienate money. Don't alienate money. And again, you can be, I mean, y'all are all grown ass men. You can do whatever you want to do in your business. But, you know, one of my competitors in Tallahassee, I remember his Facebook banner was Donald Trump putting a sword through Hillary Clinton's head on there. Now, keep in mind, I live in the state of Florida, and we're like whenever you look across the panhandle of Florida from Jacksonville to Escambia or Pensacola, the whole panhandle, there's 2 dots, Leon County, which is my county, and Gadsden County, which is the county next to us, that were blue, literally in an ocean of red, like 2 blue islands on the electoral map since, I don't know, forever. Basically, we're a liberal area. And so he's pissing off, half of his potential customers, more than half, 70% of his customers with a header like that. And sure, you can go in there, well, there ain't nobody going to tell me what I can talk about. You can, but then again, your end goal on this. I don't want people to be a 50-year-old guy humping a surface cleaner with no employees and not enough busy enough to get. I want people, if this is what you want, I want people to be like me. I want people to like you. I want people to be able to sell their company and retire and live a life that you never thought was possible from pressure washing. I mean, and I've been living the life just income-wise that I never thought was possible for the last 4 or 5 years. I never realized that. But one of the ways and now I get to sell my company, and in a few more months, I'm free and I get to do my next adventure. But one way we're going to do that is to like what Brian said, don't alienate money. In fact, some of the sweetest spending money that you'll ever spend is from somebody that you can't stand.
That is, I knew where you were going with that. That is so stinking true. Sometimes that's just it. So Devin, I wanted to answer your question. You said, why did you fire the client? I didn't fire the client for being racist. Okay. I don't, that wasn't the point behind it. He was being, or she was being disrespectful to one of my guys. And to me, I'm not going to ask him to stay there and work. And I'm not going to tolerate somebody treating my guys that way. I fired a client that had been with us for about 4 years. I fired him for being disrespectful to my office staff. Okay. Because you're not above me. I'm not above you. And we're not above anybody. Right. So I fired him very specifically, and fired her very specifically because of the words that she was using towards one of my guys. She didn't recognize that he was there, but nonetheless, it was a situation that never needed to happen, and it was words that never needed to happen. Oh,
that's one of the things. I have seen Tanya call up and tell a customer, "I'm sorry, we can, our technician said you were out there cussing at them. About time you GD showed up and blah, blah, blah. And I want this MF clean and blah, blah, blah." And, we have rolled up on, not a ton, but at multiple houses where, we rinse the bleach off the quarter of the house that we've gotten done and left, because there is one cardinal rule. You will not disrespect my employees. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not going to happen,
Because let's face it this way, without the employees, you can have all the customers in the world. So there is a fine line, because you need the customers and you need the employees. Unless you're doing it all by yourself, then right. You just need the customers. But nonetheless, you have to treat your customers like gold, and you have to treat your employees like gold. Absolutely. Because they are who does that job. They are who makes you that money. And for me, if you're going to disrespect my technicians, which to me, they become family anyhow, I'm not going to tolerate that. I'm not going to put up with that.
Absolutely.
And drawing a line in the sand sometimes, when a customer senses that they are crossing a line, they'll know it. They'll back off, and they'll even apologize. And to be honest with you, and I think she did apologize to him, but it was like an insincere, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were there. I would have said it, not said it." It wasn't a sincere apology. So I was like,
"Oh, if I'd have seen you there, I wouldn't have said it." Oh, thanks. I would have felt it. But and I've always actually kind of wanted to challenge I've always braced myself for the negative review on that. And saying, okay, this jackass is going to give me a negative review, because I've always wanted to be able to sit there and say,
Yeah.
Well, by the way, Mr. Customer, let's review your behavior, and I will not tolerate this with
This
my
behavior. Yeah. Whatever that behavior is.
very hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what? Wild West, absolutely. Read The Art of War. That is such a great book, you know? And it's just like, and you can even get little areas of it. It's just sniglets. I mean, it's not necessarily some big, heavy read, but you can read just like excerpts from it where Sun Tzu is just, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
So I want to go back and point something out. Not go back, it's just say that if you're in the Louisiana area, don't forget PWNA is next week, next weekend. I don't know the dates on it. I apologize. I don't have it right here in front of me.
PWNA?
Yeah, PWNA is having their convention in New Orleans.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Yes. Next week. Yes. I'm telling you, the PWNA is in New Orleans next week. I know I won't be able to go because I'm supposed to be out of town with my wife.
You are crazier than
I am not crazy. I had sent Bo a text today asking him what he was doing, you know, today to maybe come in and be on live for a little bit, just to, you know, promote the PWNA thing that was going on next week. Yeah, you're looking it up. Go for it. It is next week.
September 8th.
Yeah. No, there's one this next week. I'm telling you.
No idea what you're talking about.
All right. Now you got me going to look for it. All right.
September
let me go.
8, 2021.
I'm positive. Now you got me second guessing myself, and I know that it is. Why do you think Jason Ayers is coming here?
No idea.
All right.
I'm sitting there looking on their website. September 8th, the Power Clean. So
don't make a liar out of me, because I will. Yeah, that's that one. That's on that skid giveaway. I'm telling you, it's here.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Wednesday, July 7th. All right. Let me see. Oh no, that's not. That's that one. Hold on.
I think you're crazy as hell.
Oh, come on.
H2O saying he dealt with a Karen. Come to find out her name really is Karen.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So the Power Clean Convention 2021. What?
Are you sure that isn't a meeting that we have online?
Really?
Really?
What? No, they're going to have to change the date. I have it on my calendar as this weekend or next weekend.
No, because they're after their big convention, the CETA.
Right. Now I feel like a dummy.
It's okay. We've always felt that. All right. But hey, since we're on the talk about this, let's talk about the huge convention, which is August 18, 19, 20. Atlanta, Florida.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Sorry. Atlanta, Georgia. Come and join us. You know, the huge convention. If you've not signed up for it, you need to sign up. You need to get your tickets. And the really cool part about the tickets is also the pre-show on the 18th, plant and property protection, and the basics. If you are a new guy, if you are a new guy, take the basics class. It's stupid cheap. It's going to be 3 hours with us. We talk about soft washing. We really get into the fundamentals of soft washing and roof cleaning. Then after that, we get into the huge convention, the plant and property, which the huge convention was actually the onus of that class. And this is the 4th or 5th year we're doing this at the huge, and they keep asking us back. So it must be a really amazing class. And we've done this class literally all over the nation.
Yep. And now online as well.
And online now.
And if you come to the show if you go to the huge convention and you go for the plant and property protection class, you're also going to get the online version of the plant and property class. Plus, you're going to get the government sales class. And that right there is also going to be another huge factor in helping you land those commercial jobs.
Absolutely.
Chicagoland, go away. No. He's laughing at me, right? I've been doing that. Anyhow.
Who's been drinking? I don't know. I think Doug has been because he can't remember.
I did have a beer. I did.
He lost a whole month, and I'm not. I'm absolutely not.
Yeah. See, I like Wild West way looking at it. I'm not wrong. I'm just mistaken. That's just it. No, but going back on that huge what is it? July 7th at 7 p.m. Yes. So 7/7 at 7 p.m. Right. They're going to be doing that live presentation, and they're going to be giving away a crap load of stuff, tickets, and they're going to give away a suite, and all kinds of stuff that they're going to be giving away. So 7 o'clock on July 7th, be there, be square, maybe win that. We're also going to be giving away a plant and property protection class, and then we will also be giving away a free basics class at their live event on the 7th.
Wow, very cool. Very, very cool. Huh. Carmen's saying.
Oh, you clicked on one and I clicked on one. So what were you clicking on?
I clicked on the one from 5Ash that said you couldn't get in.
Where is it? I don't see that.
Oh, right here. It said he couldn't get into things.
Oh. I seen the notification that you're live, but for some reason it kept saying error when I clicked it. And I had to go to your page to see it. Weird.
I miss the good old days of just regular Facebook Live and not having to go to separate things and just sharing this thing out to 40 different groups. So
yeah. I don't know why it's that way, but it is. So what were we talking about? Follow-ups, your estimates and all that. You'd be surprised at how they can come back to you. And following up, again, I think Ray and I are just a little bit, or were at least a little bit old school doing it. I did the same thing. I did a 2-part form, had the carbon copy between them. And, that way I could give them a copy, have a copy. Yep. And, following up that way is a lot harder than nowadays. And you had said something in the very beginning, and I wanted to clarify something on that, because you said that it's the expense of having a CRM. And I'm gonna argue with you, and I'm gonna disagree with you, and I'm gonna tell you that you're stupid. Okay, because a CRM should be making you money,
right?
And the cost of the CRM, a lot of these aren't that expensive nowadays, and think about the amount of paper that you save. I just went and I had to buy paper the other day, and paper is going up through the roof, it looked like. And so I would rather be sending stuff out through my CRM and not having to deal with the paper. I would save almost the cost of the CRM, depending on which one you have, of course. And then the follow-up emails that it can do, you can just set them to do it. It'll automatically send them out for you. And then that way you don't ever have to do that. You're hands off, and they will literally sit there and make you money.
Absolutely.
For years to come.
I mean, really, if you want to think about it, nothing that we have in our offices necessarily cost us anything. I mean, it's all stuff that's payable. I can argue that why do I use a professional soap versus Dawn, besides Dawn saying don't mix it with bleach. Mm-hmm. But part of it is I don't pay for it. My customer winds up paying for this.
Mm-hmm. If not, then you're probably doing it wrong anyhow. Yeah. Truth Seeker, no, that's going to be Monday that we're giving away the ticket. So Monday evening Monday. So We try to keep Thursdays right at an hour, and we're right there at our time right now. So we try to keep Thursdays right there at an hour.
Jason Guyman goes on, and then PWMCA X13J12. They have their members meeting at 8 o'clock. So yeah.
And so Mondays we just kind of go for as long as we want. So,
and I get to get up in the morning at about 3 a.m. and go to Jacksonville for a day of cleaning TIAA Bank Field.
Carmen, I don't want you making him think that he's smart. That's not a good thing for us.
I just read it.
Well,
he probably gets the camera in a lot, though, I'm sure. So,
dang, who was that sexy broad that just walked past the back?
That's a woman.
All righty. We appreciate y'all.
Guys, thank y'all so much for watching us. We appreciate y'all's viewership, and see y'all Monday night.